And so what I wanted to work on today is recall. And of course every dog here knows recall. What I want to do is throw a handful of things at you so that we can improve our recalls. There's always room for improvement if your dog is coming really well. And if your dog isn't coming really well, we'll work on some recall things that'll help your dog start coming better. And so really what I wanted to work on today, what I wanted to present today is 3 concepts, 2 things that we'll kind of work on, and then 1 thing that's just more of a concept you guys can practice at home. And so what I wanted to talk about was front-loading the recall, back-loading the recall, and distraction training. And so when I'm talking about front-loading the recall, so let me kind of explain some of these, then we'll start practicing it. When I'm talking about front-loading the recall, what I'm talking about is just creating a reflex. Now, in the training process, we often begin this, but as time goes on, sometimes it gets a little bit lax and things like that. And so, what we want to do is create more reflexivity. Is that a word? Reflexivity? Yeah. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to create where it's a reflex. Your dog comes to the ball. Now, most of the time with most commands, I always tell people it doesn't need to be a reflex. If I say sit, the dog can think about it for a second and sit. If I say down, same thing. But when we want this formal recall, I don't want the dog thinking, because that might be the time he's chasing towards the ball, towards the street, and I say, here, come, or whatever. I don't want him to think, I just want him to drop what he's doing and come. This one can be a life-saving thing, and so for that reason, I don't want a whole lot of thought process. I want it to be more reflexive. And so there's this example I often use when talking about creating reflex. Let's say, for example, that, I don't know, let's say I was teaching it to one of you guys. So I say come, and I flick your ear immediately. I come up from behind you, I'm come, I flick your ear, come, flick your ear, come, flick your ear. So what happens here is after doing that, if I do that 10, 12, 15 times, 100 times, I say come, flick your ear immediately, I'm going to create a reflex, right? I'm going to, 2 weeks later, I'm going to come up behind you and say come, and you're going to flinch. All I've done is just flick you a bunch of times, but what I've done is I've given the brain a split second to respond to an outside stimuli, and therefore the brain has to speed up in relation to that word. And so, we call that a reflex, obviously. And so the brain, we create this reflex through timing. Because let's say I switch that around a second. I say come, flick, come, flick. So the exact same motions, the exact same everything, except my timing is just 1 second different. If I do it that way, you're going to understand what the word come means. I'm going to say come, and you're just going to back away, you're going to be annoyed, but it's not going to be reflexive. And all of that, and just literally the difference of maybe 1 second. 1 second is the difference between teaching the behavior and creating the reflex of the behavior. And that's where most of the time when we teach sit or down, we do give the dog that second. We do give the dog a second or two to sit. If he doesn't, then I'll help him do it. But like I said, when it comes to that recall, we want it to be much more reflexive. So one thing that we're going to work on here today is creating this reflex. So in a sense, what I'm going to recommend we do is actually go back a step. And so there's a lot of studies that have proven that within 30 to 45 days you can create a new habit. That's for us, and it's also for dogs, because what is it on a physiological level, new neural pathways are being created and stuff like that. It takes a little while for that to occur. And so what I'm going to recommend is that the stuff that we do today, that you give it a solid 30 to 45 days, so that, no matter where you are in your program or what you've been doing with your dog, solid 30 to 45 days so that we can create this new reflex. So what we're going to do is, we're going to tell the dog our recall command. For some people it's come, for some people it's here, other people might do something else. What we're going to do is we're going to say here, and immediately with the e-collar, we've got an e-collar, right? Yep. Yeah. And then immediately with the e-collar, and we're going to go low. We're going to go less than a corrective level. It's going to be here tap, and we're going to go backward just to do it. Here tap, so you can do this on a short leash, we can do it on a long leash, we'll spread out here in a bit. And the idea is that we're going to take that command, and you're going to work on it every day, 1 or 2 little sessions, and every day it's just front-loaded. So even if the dog is coming, even if the dog is saying, yep, I'm on my way, I'm still going to give a little tap. All I want is that little flick. Here flick, here flick, here flick, here flick, over and over and over. Now what we have to watch out for, and this is where I'm going to kind of work with you guys in critique, we have to watch out for timing. What I'm saying sounds very simple, but when you're doing it, you get lost in 30 different things. And so really what it boils down to is people tend to err on either side. They say here as they flick, and if you do that, we're not creating a reflex. The brain has no split second to respond or to kind of understand that, the outside stimuli. And so we can't do it at the same time, and we can't do it too late. So it's got to be here flick, just almost consecutive. Here, just like that immediately. And so what we're going to do is we're going to load that front end, 30 to 45 days, where every single time, here tap, here tap, here tap. So, and I would say we'll go just a touch below what your dog's working level is. So if your dog's working level is 13, maybe do this at 10. If your dog's working level is 25, do this at 21, or whatever the case might be. Because this is not about correction. This is about simply like, this sounds bad, but we almost want to make the dog paranoid about that word, right? So that when the dog hears it, they're like, whoa, where's mom? Where's dad? I gotta be thinking about where they are. So that's one thing we're going to practice here is front loading it. Now, what we also want to do, and I guess we can even practice this too, is during these 30 to 45 days is we want to rear load it as well. So we want that front load, the dog hears that word here or come and is like on it. And then the second part is we want the dog to realize just how incredibly awesome it is to be coming when called. So some of your dogs we've used food in training, other dogs we haven't. What I would recommend over the next 30 to 45 days, as you're doing this, this session or two per day, is that you get like a high value reward. Some of you are in the middle of a program, so you're still using your dog's food for training, and that's fine. You can do that. If you're not in the middle of a program, then a high value reward. I've got like hot dogs here today that we can use, but something that's really, really interesting. Now, what we want to do, ideally, and this can get a little bit tricky, is there's a difference between rewarding and baiting. Baiting is where you're like, here dog, here dog. We want to avoid that because then the dog becomes very like laser focused on your hand. And, do they have a treat? Do they not have a treat? So ideally what we're doing is we've got a very high value reward and it just kind of palmed. And so what that means is every time before you're ready to do your recall, you've got to have like this little checklist, on what, a checklist on what you should be doing. So we need to make sure that there's not too much slack in the line because at the same time of giving maybe a little tap, I might need a little bit of help with the leash. And so you want to make sure there's just enough leash to where you're not pulling on the dog. But like I say, if there's too much leash and you're trying to like give them a quick little tug, it's going to be hard. So we have to have enough, the right amount of space in the leash. You've got to have your high value reward ready, palm in your hand. And if you don't have the high value reward every single time, don't worry about it. I would try to as much as you can. But more important is front loading it. The rear loading is more about getting speed and getting like enthusiasm, which is definitely good. We want that. But anyways, so like I said, what we're gonna do is here tap to go backwards a little bit, and as the dog comes, it was sitting in my hand the whole time, although the dog didn't see it. Now, what some people may want to do, depending on where they are in their program. So for some dogs that we're working with. We take their food and the food that they eat every day, just their regular daily rations of kibble, we use that for their training. And so let's say, and some people are kind of beyond that in their training. If you're beyond that in your training, one thing you could do is bring that back. And you could say, okay, your dog eats 3 cups a day. The only way he's going to eat for the next little bit is through recall. So every day we go out and do a session or two of recall. And I've got his food ready, and there's I'll do 2 sessions, and he gets like a big handful every time he comes, big handful every time he comes. So it really starts to help the dog realize, wow, this is like really important that I come. Not only is it necessary, not only is it fun, but it's very important because this is how I work. Now again, for some folks that's a little bit difficult, or depending on where they are in the training process, you may not do that. So either use your dog's food or use high value reward. If you're using high value reward, you're going to need to like grab like big handful because 3 or 4 cups, you'd have to, you can't do that in little few kernels at a time unless you do 10 a recall. All right, so we're going to front load, we're going to rear load with something interesting, something fun, and then on top of that, we need to start using distractions. This is where a lot of folks struggle. Everyone wants their dog to come with distractions, but not everyone uses distractions. And so, whenever we're training a dog, we go hunting for distractions, and sometimes you manufacture distractions. So like today, I'll put some hot dogs on the ground, let your dog like sniff it, and then back away and call them. I always joke with people, it's not hard to get your dog to come when called. To get your dog to come when called. It's very hard to get your dog to leave a distraction and then come when called. And so with this technique that we're going to use, we're front loading, rear loading, it makes it so we're in a position where any distraction that comes up, we're in good shape. So one other quick little thing, and then I want to start practicing with it. And so, let's say, for example, I'm doing this, and the dog's wanting to get to the pile of hot dogs, and I'm like, here, tap, and I go backwards, and he's still not coming. I'm just going to keep going. Here, tap, over and over and over. Now, I know in the process of training, we generally use the continuous stimulation for here, right? We're switching that now because most of these dogs here understand the word here or come or whatever. And so, like, if your dog was completely blowing you off, yes, let's use a continuous distraction. But the idea here is we're saying, okay, the dog understands how to do it, and ideally even understands how to do it well. Let's even take that to a better level. And so that's where we're just going to be tapping for this. If your dogs are new in the training process and you're still kind of like getting used to your dog handling and things like that, you may need to be using some continuous stimulation. But if all we're doing is just really building, yeah, we're going to be adding a tap. Is that making sense? What questions does that bring up?
So you say come, click. So
exactly.
So it is just 1 second after you use the word.
And not even a second. It's so come.
But
really,
it's not
really fast.
simultaneous.
Yeah, and I'll grab a dog here in a second and do this. Yeah.
Do you suggest doing the vibration or the electric?
I would. Most dogs probably the stimulation, not the vibration. It depends on the dog. For some dogs, the vibration is enough of a if we're not looking for jarring, we're just looking for call to attention. And so if that does work for your dog, I say go for it. Whatever's more effective with your dog. But yeah. What other questions? Okay.
At which point do you step away? Do you step away and then say here it buzz?
So it's all kind of like a simultaneous type thing, where, like I said, if I'm over here, tap, and I'm going backwards. So, and that's why I say it sounds like easy in concept, but it takes some practice for most people. And so, okay, so yeah, I'll show you when we do it here in a second. Who else has a question? Okay. Let me see. Let me do it with Big Max here. Like I said, you can do it on a long line, you can do it on a regular leash. Is it okay to eat hot dog?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Hi, buddy. You hungry? You hungry? No. It's too good.
Okay, that's weird.
He's feeling a little bit Johnny on the spot right now.
He's right. Yes.
Everyone's looking at me. And so, I didn't grab your remote. Let me grab your remote.
That's odd because it's very, right here. Also, very attached.
All right, so let me do this a handful of times. Now, he doesn't want to take my food right now. I bet if I worked with him for a bit, he would. But he's just feeling a little bit, yeah, everyone's looking at him. And so, here, good boy. He's a good boy. Good boy.
I use come.
Oh, he's come, okay. Come, good boy. So with him, because it's the first session, you can tell I'm kind of doing actually a few things at once. I'm letting his kind of inertia or his momentum stop him with the leash. And so the second I say it, I'm giving a quick tap here. But if it makes sense, I'm also giving a quick tap on the leash. Come. Good boy. Good boy. Oh, good boy. Good boy. Distracted by mom. Buddy. Hey, buddy. That's a good boy. Good boy. Good boy. And so all I'm really having to do is one quick tap. Now again, had he said, no, I'm too distracted, I would just kind of come again with a quick, good boy. Sorry. Didn't actually do it that time. But that's kind of what we're starting to look for is like this almost, again, I hate to use the word paranoid, but in one sense, I do want the dog paranoid about this word because this could be a life saver. Do it one more time. Come, good boy. Good boy. Now you can't exactly see when I'm tapping my thumb, but again, it's come tap real quick. Yep. Good boy. So like I say, what you will want to do in your neighborhood is you're going to want to find that dog behind the fence. You're going to want to find that cat. You're going to want to bring out food, put food on the ground, call your dog away from that. You're going to want to find other dogs. I mean, anything that we possibly can, we want to use as a distraction, because if we're doing this in a vacuum, we are going to create a much better recall just this alone. But this alone, this with mild to heavy distraction is really going to get us in a good spot. Good boy. So, oh yeah, and let me reiterate, I kind of mentioned this, but then I breezed past it. If you're doing this for 30 to 45 days, you're going to find day 3, the dog is coming really well. I'm still going to give a quick little tap, because it's not a correction. I mean, it's not like, you know, it's mean to the dog or anything like that. I'm still going to give a quick little tap for every one of those 30 to 45 days when I'm working on this, because I'm looking to create a habit. It's very easy to create a new behavior. You know, you can take you can take one day and teach your dog a new behavior. Creating the behavior is what we're looking to do. The dogs know the behavior. What we're looking to do is create a reflex, and that's what takes a little bit of time. So like I say, what you want to do is make sure that every time you're working on this, that you're in a position where, at the very least, you can tap a leash, tap a button, something, so that it's just boom, reflex, 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 reflex. Make sense? All right, let me switch leashes back. Does anyone else want to work their dog before we kind of split up and start working on this?
I have a quick question, Karen.
Yeah.
So, my dog every now and then will come, but then he gets like slow, distracted coming back. Like, so after like a week, right, when I'm practicing the recall with him,
Yep.
he knows he's coming back, but he's also like getting distracted on the way back.
Let me work with him real quick. Hey, buddy. How you doing? Have my food ready. Come. Good boy. So you're saying that like halfway to you he gets distracted?
Yeah, like at first like he's really good at it, and then he realizes what we're doing, and he's like, okay, I'm coming, but I'm checking out everything for the next time.
Gotcha.
He
So
still comes.
Come. Good boy. So sometimes Good boy.
Hi. Here.
Here, sorry.
I mean, it's fine.
Getting all mixed up. Good boy. Good boy. Yeah, you know there's food now, huh? Good boy. I like your dog. He's so happy. Come. Good. Good. And so, let's see. Here. Good boy. So are you typically going backwards?
I haven't been. We've just been kind of guiding him in, just in the early stages of getting him to come back.
I might go backwards a few steps, because going backwards really draws the dog in.
Okay.
Good boy. Come, here. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Yeah, so what I would do, there's 2 things that I would do. One is I would go back a few steps, because that's going to help him really target me.
Correct.
And the other thing is I would just be demanding about what I'm looking for. So for example, if he comes and he stops halfway, I'm going to real quick, here, quick little tap again. If he comes but he blows past me, the second he blows past me, I'm turning around, here, tapping it again. And very, you know, so what we need to do is we need to look at the command as one all-encompassing command. Drop what you're doing, run all the way towards me, hang out with me. And so if he's breaking that at any given point, so for example, he doesn't come immediately, I'm of course helping him. Or if he does start to come, but then he breaks it by like veering off, immediately I'm giving him that communication. Or he does come all the way, but he shoots past me, immediately I'm giving him different communication. So like I say, sometimes it's easy just to look at this as very one-dimensional. Stop what you're doing and come. But if he's kind of breaking at any point along the process, we've got to adjust that. So happy. He's getting a little bit skinny. You going to a girl first?
What's that? Oh, yeah.
Okay. Anyone else need me to work their dog real quick? Well, this was yours, right? I can tell she, we got a little bit more, a little bit more hesitation here, and so my body language reflects that. My voice is a little bit higher. I'm crouching down, making myself. So I'm making it a little bit less threatening. It's okay. Okay. It's okay. 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 I know. Come. Good. Yes, what a good puppy. So for a dog like this where the sky is kind of always falling, always a little bit nervous, this can be really good, because it gives them a very clear path for how you can do something right. And so you can tell when I'm not asking her to do anything, I'm nervous, but the second I do, come, good. We start to get a little bit better body posture. How's a good puppy? Yes. How's a good puppy? There we go. Yeah, she's doing fine. Did you say you want me to work your dog real quick?
I'd like to let you invite to just see how she interacts with you.
Let's do this. Let's start breaking out. I'm going to start working individually with certain dogs and then just start. Now, what I would like you guys to do is be very careful about this. A lot of dogs are working with reactivity and things like that. And so we can use each other's dogs. It's never a good idea, even for friendly dogs, to be straining on a leash to meet each other. And so, if you wanted to, partner up with somebody, this person has their dog lie down, your dog shows interest, you call your dog away, stuff like that. Again, be very careful just because there are a lot of reactivity issues. But anyways, so whether you're partnering with somebody or just kind of spreading out all over, working on stuff, try to find distractions. Don't let your dog sniff a bush. Don't let your dog sniff a window, car well. Don't let your dog, whatever the case might be, just try to find distractions. And what we're looking for is distractions and perfect repetitions. There's always that, practice makes perfect, and then there's the perfect practice makes perfect. What we just need is really good repetitions over and over with heavy distractions. So, all right, let me start working with a few of these guys.
Okay.
Oh, okay. A little stressed.
Yeah, she is.
Okay, why don't you switch out the leash? Let me do a few reps with her.
Oh, sorry, girl. Yeah. There's a couple things. I didn't bring along.
No worries. Miss Jackie. Come. Did I steal it? I did. Yeah. Come. And where she's not, I know she has a good relationship with you.
Yeah, I know.
Where she doesn't care to work for me, I'm not even gonna worry about treats or anything. That doesn't bother me. With you, practices at home, will she take treats from you?
Yeah.
Okay, then I would definitely use that.
That's what I was.
Good. He's a good puppy. He's a good puppy. Oh, yeah, she's gonna be fine with this. And so, where you just took her home yesterday,
I know.
switch back.
I mean, I don't do any excuses or anything for her. But, no. Because we did pretty good last night.
Good.
Short. She's a
obviously
handful.
she's a wonderful.
She's a handful.
So she's gonna need you to be. So stuff like this is great because it's very clear. This is what I as the leader need you to do.
Yeah.
So
I'm
yeah.
just psyched because I got her to stay on a place during breakfast.
Oh, good.
That was a big one.
Good. Well, good. So yeah, you just practice on this 4 foot. That was perfect.
Oh, okay. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I have a long one. Come on.
What's up, Mark? Did you say you got him some? Yes. He seemed to respond to that. When he jumped, he felt that fork. You say come over here. Oh. Hey, everybody. Come on.
I got it.
Right in the middle. I should call him away from that. That's a good distraction. You won't call. You can't call him out of a turn. That's messed up. You guys are not good guys. Get over here. Yep. So his thing is that we got to watch out for is just his focus level. He's just such a dopey teenager.
I thought he wasn't coming to me.
Did you go backwards? And so you notice the timing there. It's the command quick tap backwards, all at the same time. And when you do that backwards motion, you very quickly get a lot more speed. What are you doing?